Every Final Fantasy XIV YouTuber really does default to their character just standing there as if they're talking, huh? I can see why, because any video I make that shows my VTuber model does significantly worse. Don't be slick. I can see the numbers. At least I'm not spamming /converse, so that's different, I guess. Stop doing that! 7.1, oh, what a patch. New story, new dungeons, new 24-man, new extreme, new glamours, and now a brand new ultimate. Hold on. Oh, it was cleared already? It really took that long. Wait. What do you mean there are two world firsts? The first one had a cheater? JP again? And a world second at the next pull. Well, this and streaming isn't paying the rent just yet, so not like I can easily free up 30 hours of my week to speed this shit up. Anyways, you didn't click on the video to subscribe to me and talk about all that, right? No, you want me to go over in excruciating detail how I'm now partnered with Rogue Energy, and now you can shop through many sweet flavors that can help energize you through the day, like Grape Popsicle, Rocket Pop, and Tiger's Blood. Or if you'd rather not have the caffeine, check out the hydration lineup with lovely flavors like Dragon Fruit Mango or Fruit Punch. Or just kick back and relax with the chill flavors and take it easy and keep calm. And I'm sure you also want me to tell you how if you use code KIT, you'll get 20% off your entire order with any purchase at rogueenergy.com using my link in the description or scanning this QR code. You want me to go over all that, right? No? Oh. This is awkward. Let's get to business. Instant despair. Amazing. Beautiful. Iconic. While despair went from about an 838 true potency to 831, the potency per second tells a different story. By making it instant, it went from 279.31 to 332.64 potency per second, around a difference of 53. Putting aside that it's easier now to keep up your stance, this leads to the GCD from being pushed out more. You get to weave in that swift cast every other fire line to pair with Flare Star, which gains around 63 PPS when it's instant cast. More instants means higher PPS and means more explosions to fit in a fight. Moving on to the 2 charged Ley Lines, I want to preface this section from going off on my last video I yapped about Black Mage before 7.1 drop. I just forgot how charges worked, and I assumed it would give you a Ley Lines every minute. This is not how charges work. I'm sorry. It gives you 1 extra Ley Lines per fight and it helps with drift. Listen, in my defense, I pumped out that video as fast as I could before I had to leave for an out-of-state vacation. I didn't come back until the first week of 7.1 was already halfway done. There's a bit of quality of life here where you can pump out faster spells and more damage during an odd-numbered minute in a fight where you know you won't be moving much. It feels good. I don't have much more to say aside from that, and since this change is retroactive, I've been getting some good usage from it in UCOP, where it helps to skip Nails Dragons. More moments of speed means even more explosions in a fight, and with no potency changes, despite a magic damage nerf by 1%, Black Mage climbed up statistically. One surprising change we got was Flare. Going from a 4 to a 3-second cast time, this too feels better. It was really annoying trying to cast it on mobs that would end up just dying before it could go out. This one change not only bumped up the quality of life, but it also bumped up the potency per second of it. That term has popped up again. Interesting, yeah? We'll get to that soon enough. Something you might not realize is how it's now a gain on 2 compared to Fire 4, joining High Thunder 2 in the gain on 2 camp. The true potency of Fire 4 and Astral Fire 3 is 760.32. Quick math at the bottom to see how I got to that if you're curious. Flare is 570.24 true potency with 399.17 on surrounding enemies. Putting that together and it comes out to 969.41 potency on 2 targets. Flare didn't get a potency buff, so it was actually always a gain on 2 when it was instant cast. The longer 4-second cast time had it only made it a gain on 3 there, so we gotta dive into the PPS here. Really quick to explain this PPS now, but while potency refers to an action's damage, Potency per second refers to said damage over time. It's how you can better calculate your DPS. To find it, you take the potency of an action and divide it by the cast time or recast, whichever is longer. And Black Mage is the only job where the cast times of certain spells are longer. This is why instant casting leads to higher DPS. It's not about movement. It never was. These spells end up with a higher PPS when they become instant instead of casted. Pair it with the damage buff passives Black Mage has, and stronger spells like Flare Star end up scaling more when it becomes instant. Hopefully now you can see why, with no potency changes and a nerf, we really got buffed. When Triple Cast first dropped in Stormblood, my first thought wasn't, oh boy, movement. It was, oh boy, damage! If you want to further see the numbers yourself, I created a spreadsheet which lists out the true potencies of every spell, as well as potency per second in every situation. There are notes in many of the cells for further explanations. This has been my personal reference that I've been working on since July. All reference on PPS is taking the base 2.5 second GCD into account, so keep in mind that a lower GCD would equate to a higher PPS, but don't take that to mean that spell speed is your only viable option, even with my bias for it. Low speed and high crit is also strong, and the crit you generate makes up for that. The difference in the builds at the same eye level is so insignificantly small, you have to put in the effort to actively fuck up your stats on Black Mage. It's always been like that, but it's probably the closest it's ever been in Dawntrail. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. Fire 4's casted PPS was 273.6 when Enochian gave you 33% bonus magic damage. Flare's casted PPS was 143.64 with 100.55 PPS on surrounding enemies. Hitting 2 targets with it gave you a total of only 244.19 PPS, less than Fire 4 on 1 target. When you made it instant cast, however, it hit for a total of 390.7 PPS on 2 targets. But triple cast and swift cast ain't always going to be there for you. Now, casted Fire 4 is 271.55 PPS. Even with the 1% Enochian nerf, casted Flare is now 190.08 PPS and 133.05 PPS to surrounding enemies. Putting those numbers together, when hitting 2 targets, you're dealing 323.13 PPS. Since Flare also gives you Flare Star usage with just 2 casts, you'll definitely be urged to use Flare more often, especially on 2 boss encounters. And with my minimum eye level static getting into ad phase on UCOB, well, fortunate timing for me. And to think, all of this from just reducing its cast time by 1 second. Speaking of AoEs and Flare being stronger than it was before, I think it's time to address the real issue this expansion for Black Mage. Nope, it's not the High Thunder Drift, it's not Ice Paradox missing at launch, and it's not non-standard being bad now. Man, what did they do to make the devs that mad? It's been 5 months since Dawntrail's release, and we still have no sign of High Fire 2 and High Blizzard 2 getting any better. What reason did the devs have for nerfing it so hard from 140 base potency to just 100? For removing enhanced flare? We'll probably never know. But it's bad. Quick semi-tangent. I think this is like the 3rd one I've done in this video. Anyone that knows me knows how much I talk about how useless Blizzard 1 is. I haven't had that on my hotbar in over 8 years. Before Dawntrail, before getting Blizzard 4, it was better to just use 2 Blizzard 3s back to back, even with the slow cast time. By the time the cast ended and you start casting Fire 3, you'd have your full MP back through server ticks. Dawntrail introduced restoring full MP after a single ice spell in Umbral Ice 3, which accidentally buffed Blizzard 1, if you didn't know. Now, instead of it being replaced by Blizzard 3, it's replaced by Blizzard 4. So it still has no use after level 58, and I've wanted for years for Blizzard 1 to just automatically upgrade to something. Paradox replacing both it and Fire 1 kinda hammers in Blizzard 1's uselessness, if you ask me. So why do I bring all this up, and what does it have to do with High Fire 2 and High Blizzard 2? Well, as I've been saying, I've been talking about how Blizzard 1 is a useless spell after a certain point. With Dawntrail, it got an accidental buff, but it's still useless by Heavensward's endgame. High Fire 2 and High Blizzard 2? The nerfs they've received this expansion are so bad, you just skip them entirely. Even if you clip Transpose after a cast, even if you use the single target paradox to weave in said Transpose, even if that first flare is under Astrofire 1, which is only half of the fire damage increase you get from 3, all of that is a higher DPS gain than ever using High Fire 2 and High Blizzard 2. Let's go with pre-7.1 numbers to really see the problem. Flare's PPS on 3 targets was a total of 344.74. That's on Astrofire 3. In Astrofire 1, it's only 268.12 total PPS. High Fire's 2's PPS, even in Astrofire 3 in 7.1, is 237.57. Mind you, you would normally be casting this in Umbral Ice 3, which gives a 30% damage penalty on fire damage. I'm trying to make High Fire 2 look good, but you can see that even in the best circumstances, High Fire 2 can't even beat out a supposedly weaker Flare. On 3 targets or more, so dungeon mobs, you can start with High Blizzard 2, High Thunder 2, freeze, and clip that Transpose and start casting 2 flares, Flare Star, clip Transpose, freeze, and fill in with whatever. Refresh High Thunder 2. Use a foul. Use that single target paradox. Transpose again. Repeat. I'm sure by now you can gather that I'm not a non-standard fan. To put it very lightly. But this isn't your usually overly complicated non-standard bullshit that just gives you a loss in the end. It's simple. You're just replacing the spells for Transpose and for a damage gain, and it's dungeon mobs, so who really cares? If you want a faster expert, who doesn't, right? But doesn't that make the nerfs even more baffling? They were among our shiny new spells for Endwalker, and one expansion later they get nerfed to the point of genuine uselessness. And unlike Blizzard 1, there is no reason to use them ever. Once you get Flare, which is at 50, that's it. That's your AoE. Were they concerned about a job being too strong for mobs? Pictomancer exists, so clearly not.
Please understand. We will be very sad if we have to nerf Pictoman.
I'm nerfing your kneecaps. Us Black Mages have been making a fuss about a lot of things, but nothing brings us together than how bad these spells are now. I really wish I could understand the thought process behind nerfing them as hard and also removing Enhanced Flare. No one complained about it, we all enjoyed it, so what gives? Bring them back. Alright, enough Doomer talk. For the changes we did get, Black Mage is in a great spot right now. It feels more comfortable, and it got its damage buff. I've been having a great time with it, and from what friends and other people have told me, they've been having a great time too. It really warms my heart seeing more people have a better outlook on Black Mage, and that's been my goal for the past 5 months. To help others see that it can be a fun class, easier than they think to pick up, and so satisfying to master. Hopefully I've helped teach you the value of potency per second and how important it is to a job like Black Mage. It's a new perspective to take when you look at the spells. It's a weird job also, I won't deny that, from casts being longer than recasts to the tooltips being technically wrong, but keep in mind potency per second isn't everything. In burst windows, you want to prioritize the actual potency of your spells. That might be confusing because you'd think PPS and the actual potency should be linked, even when considering casts versus instant casts. Well, if you look through the spreadsheet I made and mentioned earlier, you'll find some funny business here and there. Here's one. The true potency of Fire 4 is 760.32. Paradox is 686.4, a difference of almost 74. Makes sense. Fire 4 is your main source of damage, and Paradox, while strong, is intended to refresh your stance. But here's something funny. Fire 4's potency per second is 271.54. Paradox's potency per second is 274.56. Yeah, Fire 4's additional cast time actually impacts the PPS that much. Of course, when instant casts, that PPS gets boosted to 304.13. While PPS doesn't have bearing on the actual potency, it helps you think about how many spells you're fitting in throughout a fight, or within a burst window during which you should prioritize the actual potency, of course. You wouldn't want to necessarily choose a Paradox over the higher potency Fire 4, even if it's casted while raid buffs are up. Here's another fun fact. Now, Fire 3 and Flare have the same casted potency per second, despite a potency difference of 95. I love and absolutely despise this job. And that's the best love of all. Before ending the video, I want to address an important correction from my quick guide. I stated overriding Firestarter Fire 3 with the second Paradox after MANAFONT is a damage gain. And to explain, it was. In 7.05 and only 7.05. I missed that during launch, when Paradox was just 500 potency, it actually ended up weaker than Firestarter Fire 3 in Astral Fire 3, also known as AF3 F3P. When Paradox got its potency buff to 520 in 7.05, it became stronger. But I didn't know that because I didn't do the math for it then. During 7.05 was when I decided to test and compare the lines myself. This was also with some bias for AF3 F3P usage, since it added comfortability and helped prevent the AF3 dropping when Despair was casted. Unfortunately for me, I mathed out that using AF3 F3P is a damage loss compared to AF1 F3P. When seeing these numbers, my reasoning as to why this may be is due to Paradox being stronger than it now. So, AF3 F3P being the weakest GCD in the Fire line, it's better to just remove it and continue on with the stronger Fire 4s. 7.1 dropped and there was no changes to Paradox or Fire 3, so I thought nothing should affect it. And man, I was wrong? N7 Crow commented and pointed out,
overriding the F3P with the second Paradox is not a damage gain. Using F3P for transpose AF1 F3P is a gain over AF3 F3P. However, if you have a spare F3P from the Paradox MANAFONT you get, you should definitely still use it.
I was insistent at first. I went and tested it, and they were right. So I thought, did I miss something? Was I wrong, actually? Did I mess up my math? I plugged in the numbers for 7.05 again, and no, I was right back then. For some reason, overriding AF3 F3P after MANAFONT was a gain only in 7.05. I can figure why, but I can't figure why it's a loss again now. It's been in my head for the past week, and I can't think of a reason when Paradox and Fire 3 weren't touched this patch. Of course, there was a bit more information I should have added, such as slide casting and what to do if you're about to drop Astral Fire, but in my defense, the video wasn't originally supposed to be a quick guide. It was just supposed to show off the opener I made. While editing it, I thought to show off the rest of the Striking Dummy encounter and saw that it was just 2 minutes of blank footage. So it was a last-minute decision to start adding in very standard notes to cover the basics of basics for Black Mage that I could fit in. Despite this, I'm actually very glad many people have used it to help pick up the job better and how much they enjoy it, especially with my opener. I won't pull you in any further into this madness. I think I did enough of that already. But please use the spare Firestarter Fire 3 around MANAFONT. And now that all the yapping is done, I can finally put my 100% focus on making that full Black Mage guide. Well, the leftover focus from still needing to work to pay my rent, upkeep my chores because I live alone, take care of my blind cat, stick with my streaming schedule. Anyways, I stream every weekday, so if you want to see this pretty face more often, I'm over at Twitch. Thanks again to Rogue Energy for inviting me to be a partner. I'm so thankful for the opportunity. And if you want to enjoy some more Rogue, you can use my link in the description or scan the QR code next to me and use code KIT for 20% off on all your purchases. See you next time.